here in the radio. We got our 2015 truck in here. It's kind of dusty, but we've been keeping it off the salty road, so this is where it's been parked, and it hasn't been on the, I don't believe it hasn't been really on the salt this winter, so the rusty beater's been parked in the garage. I've been using that. So we got out here, we got the chassis sitting here just kind of in limbo. We had your slicks mounted on some chrome wheels here during the summer. We were trying some experiments out, but as of right now, we just letting this thing sit, so I keep studying it and figuring out exactly if I want to do what I think I want to do, and if I got, well, I still got time to change my mind what we talked about before, but so I can keep staring at it every day and keep thinking that my moves are always the smart move, or the things that I want to do, and I can contemplate on other scenarios that might cross my mind. So that's what that's all about. So right, today's project is we got this thing on the rotisserie. I think you've seen pictures of it. I think I'm going to do is try to see if I can get maybe the firewall and the bottom of this body in epoxy prime. There's still going to be some work that's going to need to be done, but until I can, on some of these patches I made and some of the welding I did, until I can see primer on it and then just see how much shows up and what I missed. That's really, at this stage, when you get it to this point, it's best tactic just to get some paint on it. And I'm just going to have to attack it one section at a time. I think just keep going over it. I'll take care of this floor pan and this firewall here. I'll show you where I was filling and what's going on with that when I walk around here a little bit, when I can spin it around. But, so right now, and then I'll take care of the outside. I think we'll break it down as like the floor pan and the firewall is one shot. I think I'll take the inside of the car as another shot, and then quarters and the outside is another shot. Trunk is maybe a separate shot, but just kind of have to break this down into manageable pieces because it's so hard to cover everything in one day. That's just the way I have to do it. Not the way a professional would probably do it, but that's just the way it's going to be. All right, so up here we had, kind of hard to see, but we had some pits on the other sides, and just to level out the looks of it, we got some all metal, which is kind of the lead replacement up in there. Down in here we had the inner rocker, which so they call it, but the inner rocker had some pinholes in it, so I sectioned out this part, and I found an inner rocker as a replacement part that I was going to use for the wagon. So I actually used a stamping, but sectioned the stamping out to fit what I needed. And then up in here, it's a little different contour because you can see here where it's smooth. And then if you look down here, it's got the line, like it's got the line. I was able to section another piece, but smaller, off of here. And once I get it primed, I can find out, well, there's a piece of crap in there yet. I gotta go around here before I get the paint, and I just see if there's some sealer, some undercoating, but last minute things I want to do. The other side I'll show you when I flip it around. I had some pinholes in the trunk floor that was able to be welded shut there. This part here was the worst. I spent a good week on this section. It's hard to, this whole brace from about here down to, well, right here is the line. This was folded in, it was bent from a hit. It wasn't a hard hit, but it was part of the hit that I think this tail pan back here. We'll see the tail pan. The tail pan that goes under the trunk. Once this was cut out, this ledge down behind this tail pan dropped down. We talked about this on the phone. So after that tail pan was out, you can't really see it over this. Matter of fact, that whole process, let me spin this around. You'll have to put up with it a little bit. But when you looked at this, see if we can go down in here, you can see this is the start of the lip right here. It runs, it's like a 90-degree angle that runs the whole length. Well, when this tail pan was taken off, I could see that it was this lip down here right behind this trunk latch was crushed down like an accordion. I talked about that, but once I got this off and this off, I could see the damage. And then me and Dale, we spent a few hours roughing it out, and then I worked on quite a few more hours finessing it and getting it to the point where it is now, and over something that you can't see anyways, but I knew it was there, so we straightened it out. So, well, the tail pan's new. I got this when I think you were with me one of the times up to Iola. I think that might have been one of the last times we were up there. Here's where they put the antenna hole, which was wrong. We talked about that. Of course, on the other side, there's one over there too. But the worst damage they did was they got in here. You can kind of see it, but on the bottom here, they got this all just ripped, and you pull these out. They had this bottom of this hole all ripped to hell. This one and that one. And I think they did this to mess around with this antenna hole. That's the best way. But anyways, I cut, and I had a couple of weeks. I had over a week making new metal and making the radius and welding it back in, and the hardest part was getting in here and grinding the weld after I welded stuff in, because it's kind of concave, it's not really flat. But anyway, so, and a lot of this won't show, but you will see it when you open the trunk. Here, put this plug back. No, can't get it right now, but that plug goes in there and hides a lot of it. There's still some grinding and prep work around that latch yet to go a little bit. Let's see, don't want to make this video too long, but anyway, you can see the factory lead seam. That's why after filling these holes, I just, like this one here, you can see a little bit. After filling these holes, I just decided against making more holes to put rear antennas in, and then maybe not liking them anyway. So that's where I'm at. On this side, get her down a little bit. On this side, we had, I got a little bit of all metal I got to do, but I had pinholes here, so I had to make a patch that was kind of, because it was curved and radiused a little bit. So last bit of filler work. This whole piece from here on down was replaced because this was all pinholed up. There was a patch that went in here and on the bottom. In here and here, and this hole was all pinholed up. A lot of people would have replaced this rocker, but I was all about trying to save the original rocker the best I can. And actually, because you see these holes, this is going to be covered up with rocker molding, but we wanted this all fixed the way it's supposed to be fixed. This up in here was one of the body mounts, and this was all kind of rusted out in this radius here, so we did, instead of replacing the floor pans, We went in here and carefully welded the hole shut with a MIG welder and then ground it down with a Christmas tree bit. The floors, for the most part, well, of course they're all, and that's what I did, is I retained the floors. They were all original, still original. We'll walk over, bypass this firewall for a minute. Over here it was pitted. So I was able, after a few hours work, able to weld these pits shut, and then what's on here is just some pitty metal that I used, all metal, just to smooth the floorboards out. When I shoot epoxy prime on it, it'll look a lot smoother. And that's a cut that's supposed to be in there. That's a drain hole. Had me going there for a minute. I thought, oh man, maybe I missed something. But the dash had a few holes down here that I still ain't figured out why they put them in there. What do we have here? I think I had a hole here. I see some other cars that had that hole. Could have been left alone, but we smoothed that up fine. And then they had a mystery hole here next to the VIN tag. I had this duct taped up, and I had to carefully weld this hole shut. So, okay, so on the firewall, we got these circles are where the push pins to hold the mat on the inside are. So what my idea, I think these circles are, yeah, this is the master cylinder, not them four, but these. So I'm going to make specially made bolts that are I'm going to hold up from the inside of the car, and we're going to weld them on the outside, and then I'm going to grind them smooth so you don't see all this stuff protruding, just to clean the firewall up. This is where the speedo cable goes. We're going to retain a mechanical speedo cable. This is where the clutch rod will come through. We're going to maintain that. We're going to maintain the original steering column hole. The master cylinder hole, I may go down to 2, because you only need 2 to hold it if I just do a manual brakes, or I'll have to keep 4 if I do power brakes. I ain't decided yet. The rest of these there's some holes for clips. They were shut up. Going to use a regular accelerator. Here's another one of them push pins. Anything with a circle on it is. Up in here was a big old wiper thing where the wiper motor hung out here. Well, this is what I talked about. I cut a piece in here and welded this shut, and each threaded hole on this end to clean all this up, because the wiper motor assembly is going to hang underneath the driver's side of the dash, and it does fit. And I got a little doo-wop there. I got to get that straightened out a little bit. Try to get some of these. Them are stamping marks from just pressing that metal out. See if I can get that smoothed out. This is probably the heater control valve, and this will probably get closed, but I gotta wait on this air conditioner to see if I'm actually, number one, gonna do the air conditioner. I think I'm going to. And this hole will be filled up with a cover plate. This had the standard heater, so otherwise this would have had like a big funnel looking thing. So the most of the firework work, and this hole up here is where the harness that hung here, I'm going to hide the harness, so this hole is going to get shut. These are going to get removed, and I'm going to run wiring down in here. So further clean this up a little bit. Here we go again, more circles, and circles are the push pins for the under dash pad. But the firewall is on hold until I get the air conditioner unit, and the air conditioner unit is backlogged by 4 months, so that gives me a chance. I'll just work on the rest of this thing, and that's the way it's going to be. So I got enough work going on here. I'll be longboarding and blocking this car well into late summer, especially with the garden now. We got over here, I welded, and I had these had some small holes in here from the pits being so deep. So I welded the hole shut, and this stuff is, like I said, the all metal. It's aluminum mixture. It kind of mixes up like filler with a catalyst, but this is what they call the modern day lead replacements. It's easier to work with than lead, so this is what I'm using. Plus, with lead, if you don't get the acid of the, what they call the prep stuff, it's tinning. If you don't get all the tinning up, your paint's gonna rust up from underneath there, and to keep from doing that, I'm just sticking with this system that's more foolproof. So what I got here is I got a couple layers of this real thin, but this, the purpose of this was to cover the pits that were left over that were just too numerous to go in there and weld shut. Shallow pits, and that'll just help the primer lay on. This stuff here I've used before, used it on the 50 and never had a problem with it. I think this stuff here will be on here just as long as lead will. All right, we're at 16 minutes on this video. The roof, last thing I'm going to show you is the roof is pretty good. We had a little bit of dent. We had a little bit of dent here. We bumped it out, filed it. The roof is really close, really straight, so we're on the mark for being able to shoot that with primer with very little or no filler in that roof. So, all right. So back up to this side. Oh yeah, then we have this. We got to paint the inside of that roof because that's all bare steel. Never was painted before, even from the factory, but I'm going to put etch prime on that inner roof before the bows that hold the headliner on, and then, oops, the headliner go there. Air compressor, never fails. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to take a short clip later today if I have success. I'm hoping to have this and this in primer today. We'll see how that all works out for me. So, got the heat going, and Sandra went to church. I told her since I work Saturday, I'm not going to church. Next weekend, I got both days off, but today we're going to try to salvage what we got. Today's like, it's a little past 9:30 or so, so we will stop for now. Okay, it's almost 6 o'clock. Went in for our snack and cleaned up in there a little bit. Cleaned up out here, got the paint guns cleaned up. We've got epoxy primer on the floorboards and on the firewalls. Turn the light on here. Yeah. This is to keep it from rusting. Actually, it could sit there for the next, well, let's say 50 years, but probably the next 100 years. It won't rust. It pretty much seals off the, and the firewall's done here. Kind of got this, spin it around a little bit, not a lot, but up around this edge. Oop. Gotta put up with me here a minute while I'm trying to spin this thing. We got, I guess you'd call it, the jam on the other side done, and kind of off to the top. Anyways, it's protected here. Now we gotta, like I said, the next thing we're gonna do is probably, it wasn't even done in the factory, but I did the 55 this way, and that's gonna be the underside of this roof. Get her cleaned up with a little bit of Scotch-Brite, a little better than it is. I'm gonna do the inside of here, the package tray, and the floor, and the dash is the next step. And we gotta take these, I gotta take them hood hinges off, because that's the only way to get them done upright, because there's a two torsion springs in the hood hinges. And then once that's off, I can do the inside of the trunk. I got a little outside of I got a few things to do to the body here. I got some all metal I want to spread onto I try to do the all metal under the epoxy primer if I can. All metal it's called. Anyways, most of that work under the epoxy primer. Some of the other filler work can go on top. But anyways, it's shaping up. Saunder's cutting up pizza stuff, so I gotta run down to the dollar store for some oven cleaner. Spin her up. Sure is nice working with a rotisserie. Makes life a lot easier. I just hate the thought of what this would be like to do, what I'm trying to do, and have to crawl underneath this thing. It just wouldn't be fun. So, at least for the body, I've seen a lot of guys put their frames on a rotisserie too, so we're gonna just do that. We'll spin that around the other way, because this has got to stay on this rotisserie. Later, for next winter, this body will be sitting on the frame, because there's some dimensions I need to check and to fit some fenders and doors, and I'll have to try to get my wheel size in the back so I know how big of wheels and tires I could put in the back. So anyway, we will sign off for now so I can get this processed tonight or tomorrow and get this video set to you. So we will sign off.